You know what will surprise most Malaysians watching this video right now? There are 7 Asian countries that are way wealthier than you think. Countries with booming economies, impressive infrastructure, and growing global influence. But here's the kicker. Despite all their progress and wealth, they still haven't caught up to Malaysia. Yes, our Malaysia. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Malaysia remains ahead and what makes our economy so resilient. Trust me, number 7 will make you incredibly proud to be Malaysian. Let's face it, we Malaysians sometimes underestimate our own country. We see the problems, the traffic jams in KL, the political drama, and we think everyone else must be doing better than us. We scroll through social media seeing glamorous posts from Thailand, Vietnam, or the Philippines, and we assume their economies are booming past us. But here's what the data actually shows. Malaysia's GDP per capita sits at around $12,000 to $13,000. Our infrastructure development index ranks among the top in Southeast Asia, and our economic diversity, from palm oil to semiconductors, gives us stability that many neighbors don't have. Yet most Malaysians don't realize how well-positioned we actually are. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on 7 countries that are doing incredibly well economically. But when you look at the complete picture, GDP per capita, infrastructure quality, economic stability, and future growth potential, Malaysia still holds key advantages. And understanding this isn't about bragging. It's about recognizing the opportunities we have right here at home. Before we count down these 7 impressive economies, I need you to do something quick. Smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Why? Because this channel is dedicated to showing Malaysians the real story about Asia, travel opportunities, and economic insights that mainstream media won't tell you. I release new videos every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Subscribing takes 2 seconds, but the knowledge you'll gain is priceless. Alright, let's dive into country number 1. Number 1 is Vietnam, and this might surprise you because Vietnam has been the darling of international investors for the past decade. Their GDP growth has been phenomenal, averaging 6 to 7% annually, and cities like Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi are transforming before our eyes. Manufacturing giants like Samsung, Apple suppliers, and textile companies have moved massive operations there, making Vietnam a manufacturing powerhouse. Their young population is hungry, ambitious, and tech-savvy. Walk through District 1 in Saigon, and you'll see skyscrapers, luxury malls, and cafes packed with entrepreneurs. So why is Vietnam still behind Malaysia? Here's the reality. Their GDP per capita is only around $4,000, less than a third of Malaysia's. While their coastal cities shine, rural Vietnam still struggles with poverty. Their infrastructure, despite improvements, lacks the highway systems, ports, and airports that Malaysia has perfected over decades. Plus, Malaysia's economic diversity, we don't rely on just manufacturing, gives us cushion when global markets shift. Vietnam is rising fast, no doubt, but they are still playing catch-up to where Malaysia already stands. Country number 2 is the Philippines, and here's what makes them economically fascinating. The Philippines has one of the largest English-speaking populations in Asia, making them a global hub for call centers, IT outsourcing, and business process services. Companies like Accenture, IBM, and countless others employ hundreds of thousands of Filipinos. Their remittance economy is massive. Overseas Filipino workers send back over $30 billion annually, pumping constant cash into their system. Manila's Makati district rivals any business center in Southeast Asia with its modern towers and corporate headquarters. Tourism is booming with islands like Boracay, Palawan, and Cebu attracting millions. But here's where Malaysia pulls ahead. The Philippines' GDP per capita hovers around $3,500 to $4,000. Income inequality is severe. The wealth gap between Manila's elite and rural provinces is staggering. Infrastructure remains their biggest challenge. Traffic in Metro Manila makes KL's congestion look mild, and connecting their 7,000 islands efficiently is an ongoing struggle. Meanwhile, Malaysia's Klang Valley, Penang, and Johor are interconnected with world-class highways, ports, and public transport systems. The Philippines has incredible potential and pockets of serious wealth, but as a complete economy, Malaysia's consistency and infrastructure keep us firmly ahead. Number 3 is Indonesia, and this is where things get really interesting because Indonesia is actually Southeast Asia's largest economy by total GDP. With 280 million people, they are an economic giant. Their total GDP is around $1.3 trillion, dwarfing Malaysia's $400 billion. Jakarta is a megacity with luxury shopping districts, a growing tech startup scene, and massive conglomerates. Bali brings in tourists from around the world, and their natural resources, coal, palm oil, natural gas, are abundant. Companies like Gojek and Tokopedia have become billion-dollar unicorns. So how is Malaysia still ahead? Simple: GDP per capita. Indonesia's is only about $4,800 because that massive economy is divided among 280 million people. Malaysia, with just 33 million people, has a GDP per capita nearly 3 times higher. What this means in real terms: the average Malaysian has significantly more purchasing power, better access to healthcare, superior education systems, and higher living standards than the average Indonesian. Indonesia's infrastructure investment has been impressive under recent governments, but connectivity between islands, reliable electricity in rural areas, and transportation networks still lag behind Malaysia's decades of development. Indonesia is a giant waking up, but Malaysia's head start and efficient population size keep us ahead in quality of life and per capita wealth. Country number 4 is Thailand, and many Malaysians visit Thailand so often that we assume their economy must be on par with ours. Bangkok is cosmopolitan, Phuket and Pattaya are tourism magnets, and Thailand's manufacturing sector, especially automotive, is one of Asia's strongest. Thailand produces more cars than any other Southeast Asian nation, with Toyota, Honda, and Ford running major operations there. Their tourism industry pre-pandemic was bringing in 40 million visitors annually, generating massive revenue. Street food culture, temples, beaches, Thailand markets itself brilliantly. But let's look at the numbers. Thailand's GDP per capita sits around $7,000 to $7,500, still notably below Malaysia's $12,000 plus. While Bangkok dazzles, Thailand faces serious challenges. Political instability has plagued them for years, household debt is extremely high, and their income inequality rivals the Philippines. Rural Thailand, particularly in the north and northeast regions, remains significantly poorer than urban centers. Malaysia's economic model, with a stronger focus on high-value industries like electronics and semiconductors, plus our diversified export base, gives us more resilience. Thailand relies heavily on tourism, and we saw during COVID how vulnerable that made them. Malaysia's economy weathered the pandemic better because we don't put all our eggs in one basket. Thailand is wealthy and vibrant, absolutely, but Malaysia's balanced approach and higher per capita income keep us ahead. Number 5 might shock you: Bangladesh. Wait, Bangladesh? Yes, and here's why they belong on this list. Bangladesh has transformed from one of Asia's poorest nations into a manufacturing powerhouse, particularly in textiles and garments. They are the world's second-largest clothing exporter after China, supplying brands like H&M, Zara, and Uniqlo. Dhaka, their capital, has seen explosive growth with factories, export zones, and a rising middle class. Their GDP growth rates have consistently hit 6 to 8% annually for the past decade. Their pharmaceutical industry exports to over 100 countries. For a nation of 170 million packed into a small area, they've achieved remarkable economic progress. But, and this is crucial, their GDP per capita is only around $2,500, less than a fifth of Malaysia's. Most of Bangladesh's population still lives on very modest incomes. Infrastructure is overwhelmed. Dhaka is one of the world's most congested cities, and flooding regularly disrupts their economy. Access to clean water, reliable electricity, and quality healthcare remains limited outside urban centers. Malaysia's infrastructure alone, our highways, airports, hospitals, schools, represents decades of investment that Bangladesh is only beginning. Their growth is impressive, but they are starting from much further behind, and Malaysia's established systems, diversified economy, and significantly higher living standards keep us firmly ahead. Country number 6 is Sri Lanka, and their story is particularly compelling because they had everything going for them, and then nearly lost it all. Before their recent economic crisis, Sri Lanka was considered one of South Asia's success stories. Colombo was developing into a modern city. Their tourism sector showcased beautiful beaches and ancient temples, and their strategic location in the Indian Ocean gave them trade advantages. Their literacy rate is over 90%, higher than many Asian nations, and their workforce is educated and skilled. Tea exports, garments, and tourism drove steady growth. But here's what happened. Unsustainable debt, corruption, and poor economic management led to a catastrophic crisis in 2022. Their GDP per capita, which had reached around $4,000, has now dropped. Fuel shortages, power cuts, and political chaos showed how quickly an economy can unravel without proper safeguards. Compare this to Malaysia. We've faced our own challenges, one MDB scandal, political transitions, but our economic fundamentals remained strong. Our diversified economy, foreign reserves, and institutional frameworks prevented the kind of collapse Sri Lanka experienced. Malaysia's GDP per capita is 3 times higher, our debt-to-GDP ratio is manageable, and our economic institutions, while not perfect, provide stability. Sri Lanka had potential to be truly wealthy, and they still might recover. But right now, Malaysia's economic resilience and stability put us in a completely different league. Country number 7 is Cambodia. And this is the one that will surprise most Malaysians because we rarely think of Cambodia as economically significant. But here's the reality. Cambodia has been one of Asia's fastest-growing economies over the past 2 decades. After the devastating Khmer Rouge era, they've rebuilt impressively. Phnom Penh has transformed into a city of construction cranes, new hotels, and shopping malls. Their garment industry exports billions annually. Chinese investment has poured into infrastructure and real estate, and tourism to Angkor Wat and coastal areas brings steady revenue. Growth rates have hit 7 to 8% in recent years. Young Cambodians are increasingly educated and connected. But, and this is the big but, Cambodia's GDP per capita is only around $1,800 to $2,000, making them one of Asia's poorest countries despite their growth. Most Cambodians still work in agriculture or low-wage factory jobs. Infrastructure outside Phnom Penh and Siem Reap is basic at best. Healthcare and education systems are underdeveloped. Corruption remains a serious issue. When you compare this to Malaysia, our $12,000 plus GDP per capita, our modern healthcare system, our education standards, our extensive infrastructure network, the gap is enormous. Cambodia is growing fast from a very low base, which makes their percentage growth impressive. But in absolute terms, they are decades behind where Malaysia stands today. They are richer than many people think, yes, but still far behind Malaysia in almost every measurable way. So there you have it, 7 Asian countries that are wealthier and more economically dynamic than most Malaysians realize, yet every single one still trails behind Malaysia in key metrics. Vietnam's manufacturing boom, Philippines' service sector, Indonesia's sheer size, Thailand's tourism power, Bangladesh's textile dominance, Sri Lanka's educated workforce, and Cambodia's rapid growth, all impressive. But none have matched Malaysia's combination of high GDP per capita, diversified economy, quality infrastructure, and economic stability. Here's what this means for you as a Malaysian. We have opportunities right here that many of our neighbors are still working toward. Whether you're an entrepreneur, investor, or just planning your future, understanding Malaysia's economic position helps you make smarter decisions. Our country isn't perfect, no country is, but the data shows we're in a stronger position than we often give ourselves credit for. So the next time you hear someone say everyone else is doing better than Malaysia, you'll know the real story. If this video opened your eyes to Malaysia's true economic standing, drop a comment below telling me which country surprised you most. And remember, knowledge is power. Share this video with fellow Malaysians who need to hear this message. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and be proud of where we stand.